Viz, are black men scared of the media that holds them accountable?
I think I believe so. I think with the media being what it is, it could easily destroy you in whatever position that you may be in. So even if it's something that you're falsely accused of, or even if it's something that you actually did, I'm more so focused on if you're falsely accused of it. That could destroy your life. That could destroy your livelihood. So I think, in a sense, black men are scared of the media that may hold them accountable, because where we are in society, doing the right thing could actually be deemed as doing the wrong thing, especially in the hands of the wrong person. So I think that I think it's a 50-50 deal, of where you may have a Kanye where he doesn't give a fuck what the media says, right? And then compared to what we just spoke on with the football player, I can't think of his name
Shannon
right now,
Sharp.
Shannon Sharp, right? He may have been upset or felt afraid with what came with it due to the media holding him accountable.
Uh, what about you, Cookie? Do you think black men are scared of the media that holds them accountable?
Um, honestly, I don't feel like that's a woman's place to answer that question. Oh, shock on the panel. I don't know. I know that Jurassic Park down there brought women up and said that we weren't accountable for what we did. But women are some of the most kind. We spend our whole life apologizing. I don't know. I can't speak for mistaken. But I can say that a lot of times it's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm sorry. You climbing a tree. You're a girl. Stop doing that. You got on a dress. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everywhere we look, it's I'm sorry or I apologize. So I think that the accountability standpoint for Jurassic Park in his argument, which he never really answered the question, but I'm going to answer it for women. Since he brought it up, I feel like women over apologize and that it's not seen. And I feel like that the reason that men like Jurassic Park feel that way is because they surround themselves with women. Like I'm known for apologizing. That's what I do. I'm a coach. I have to apologize. So I don't want to speak for black men. I can't tell you how they feel. I can only say that when my dad saw something that held him accountable, he'd be like, damn, do I do that? And we'd be like, yes, dad. And he'd be like, that shit don't look good on camera. And I said, no. So that's as much as I can give you is what my dad did. I can't speak for black men.
All right, it's on you, real.
Jurassic Park.
I think when I hear the word men, I think a part of being a man is being accountable, and uh, I think men like being accountable, and I think men that's one of the things that we hang our hat on. But there are a lot of guys in the black community who don't like accountability, and I think they get that trait from women. If I'm being honest, like me, I'm accountable for everything. Like I'm accountable for my kids. I'm accountable for how they grow up. All of that. It's all on me. I can always do better. Like I'm one of them people. I don't let nobody tell me they doing their best at all. Like I don't say I'm doing my best because people rarely do it, or is anybody ever doing their best, and that's just kind of like um where I stand with that. But yeah, I think a lot of men don't like accountability. Well, not I mean not say men. A lot of males don't like accountability. They hate it. They a lot of these guys think they can't get no money. They think the white man holding them down. Um, they think everything is women's fault. They think all this other type of stuff. When all you got to do is surround yourself with better men, go get some money, They gonna tell you how. We all gonna tell you how to get some money. Like anybody you get, we all gonna tell you how to get some money. But don't tell me you can't when I tell you can. You know, you know, I don't know. I think we all can do better.
Hold on, I'm about to come to you, Sweeney. I mean, when you talk about that, like you think about, being held accountable in the media and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I seen them talking about Diddy, and it's amazing. Like, you see Diddy on the stand or people speaking about his mannerisms and stuff like that, and you shake his head. You're like, Diddy is up there. Like, nah, nigga, I beat up 8 bitches. I didn't beat up 9 bitches. You know what I'm saying? Like, you beat women, but he's complaining about the number of women he beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're making a point that you put your hand on these women. They're not making a point of how many it was, but it's crazy
Facts are
how.
still facts. If I only hit 8 women, you gonna have to tell me 8. Don't say 9.
But see, that's the
That's the
problem. Like,
problem.
you shouldn't have hit none. You know what I mean? But it's
No, I
funny. Like,
agree. But let's get our numbers right. Let's get
are
our
men scared
statistics
of
right.
are men scared of the accountability? Like, you looking at Diddy shaking his head like, nah, it was 9. Like, nah, it was a woman, period. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just funny to hear that. And with Shannon
I
Sharp,
don't know. If an extra person comes with an extra charge, I'll probably be trying to tell them to
Yeah, get the
correct that
numbers
shit
right,
too.
man.
If you gonna tell me I get an extra, like I get an extra count for how many women I put my hands on, I'm gonna need you to get the number right. You ain't gonna tell me I beat on 10, 15 women only.
But that's the problem. Once you hit 8, 3 more pop up. Like, yeah, Sweeney slapped me too. You know what I mean? Now you in trouble.
Yeah, but if you understand that, if like say for instance, if you get sued by one woman, right, and 5 more women come up to sue you too and say, yeah, you hit me too, and he says, I never touched any of y'all, only hit that chick. Does that mean that the other women still get to take all his money because he hit the one chick? Or can he say, no, I only hit that one chick, the rest of y'all are lying?
No. They could be lying, but the point is that we at 8 or 9, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have did any of it. Like, no, I agree with you. Semantics, yes. I don't want to take just these extra because I slapped 1 through 8. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take the extra punishment for that. I agree. But the point is, like, you put yourself in that position.
Yeah, fair enough. But like my guy Dope said, you better get the number right. Don't add no extra charges. But I did want to answer the question though. Are black men afraid of the media that hold them accountable? Was that the question?
Our black. There you go.
I would say I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter whether we're afraid or don't give a damn about them. They're gonna do it regardless. That's the kind of the nature of being a man in the first place, is that somebody's gonna be there to hold you accountable. So whether you're afraid of it or not doesn't even matter. If you do some fuck shit, the media is gonna come in and put your face on the internet and put your face front and center and put your mug shot up there and say, hey, look at this dude, he did XYZ. I will say that black men are afraid of being falsely accused in the media. They don't like to be misrepresented in the media. So if you didn't do anything wrong, yes, you will be afraid. But you know what I mean? Who wants to have their face plastered on the internet with everything they've ever done? Nobody. Nobody will want that to happen. But it doesn't matter whether you want it or not. They're gonna do it anyway. Remember how y'all remember what's the sports analyst, the lady that, what's her name? And every single time she talks about a black man in sports, regardless of what may have happened, he could have
Sage Steele.
No,
Malika Andrews.
Malika Andrews.
Oh, Malika Andrews.
Yeah. No matter what the dude could have died yesterday, and she gonna say, oh yeah, in other news, y'all remember that time he was falsely accused of. I don't think anybody would want that to happen to him, but as you can see, the media gonna do it anyway. Men are afraid of false accusations. I don't think they're afraid of the media. They don't like it, but we ain't got no choice in that.
I did have another question for the panel. Let me get to the question. Why are men more loyal to ideology than to people?
What?
Give me an example of that. I'd like an example if you can.
An example would be people more focused on the rhetoric than the actual person, like how they live in their life, so they can speak whatever they're gonna speak, but they're more focused on the message than not the person. So why are men more loyal to ideology than to people?
Because you experience somebody's words, you don't experience the lifestyle with that. The dude who's in that video y'all just were showing us, I guarantee you, a lot of us are looking at his lifestyle and thinking like, "No, bro, you're not the right messenger for this message." Even the pieces of that message that we can say that we agree with, it's cool, but it's coming because it's coming from him. Like they were talking about his fake hairline, talking about how he probably likes men. It's because of that. Like if you start trying to challenge the messenger for some of these messages and you look at how their life goes, you'll find out that like their face, their space in their society, and like their actual life don't match what they're saying. So it's easier to fall in love with somebody's words when you can hide behind those. Because if you had made everybody come on camera with like no filters, no camera, zoom out, see the whole room, a lot of people would look different because you would have more of us to take in. So they just focus on his word because it makes them feel good.
I think people aren't, on average, people aren't consistent. Your ideology is going to be consistent. We see that with religion or whatever other beliefs that there may be, where this has been consistent for hundreds, if thousands of years. So people change, society changes. So I think that's why men are more loyal to it than to people.
I know if I was to answer, I think that people should be more loyal to the message versus the messenger. However, I do think it's important that people aren't necessarily hypocrites, and I think it's mainly because people aren't honest about who they are. I'd rather know who you are and tell me like, hey, this is where I messed up at. You know, this is why I'm telling you this. Versus a lot of the people just try and like kind of hide and kick their stuff to the side so that you don't see it. But I know me personally, I don't mind somebody who is living a certain lifestyle because honestly, we all the same person. We all know what to do to lose weight. Are all of us in the best shape of our lives? No, but we can tell somebody, yo, eat less, work out more. It's really that simple. And I think it's kind of like the same thing. Like anybody can tell somebody, you shouldn't smoke. You can say, oh, I smoke, but you shouldn't do this. It's bad for you. So I do think it's important to kind of like differentiate the message versus the messenger.
I'm not trying to be funny, but I would never in my life take marriage advice from a Kardashian or any of these other women who are habitually divorced, or I wouldn't take financial advice for any of these niggas who are broke. So like the message could make sense. Like a broke dude can tell me something that makes sense. Like, hey, you shouldn't be using a debit card. Debit cards are for poor people. I understand the logic behind that and how it works. I'm still not going to listen to it. I don't take advice from people who I wouldn't trade places with or that I don't respect.
Well,
And
you know the flaw in the logic there, though. I
how?
think the flaw in the
Yeah,
logic is even if the Kardashians were married and still married to Kanye West, you still wouldn't listen to him because her being married doesn't validate that to you. You just think we just all know she's not the person to take advice from because she's just not very wise.
Well, I
And
just
I
use
think
them as an example because that was the most popular example of someone who's been divorced 5 times in the public eye. And then for like a broke man to do it, for example, any just name a rapper that's fallen off. Like you can take advice from him about how to get into the rap game, but when it comes to managing money, sir, shut up. There's nothing you can talk to me about because you were
Well,
making X amount of dollars a year, and now you're doing Groupon Carnival cruises
hold on,
concerts.
well,
So
yeah,
it's like it's
real
different.
quick,
yeah,
Dave. Hold on, real quick. The only reason that I push back on this is because there are a lot of people, for example, who are in relationships or marriages who I look at it as not a successful marriage or relationship, or you're married to a woman that I would never be with because of her characteristics and stuff like that. And that's the only reason I'm pushing back is because certain people use the idea of since I am married, I am an authority on this, or because I have money, I'm Dave Ramsey. I can tell you how to get money, but
Oh
it's like
no. No, I'll
no,
give you because Dave Ramsey. To your point, I think he's one of the worst people to give people advice about money, given that he took the scared approach to saying building his wealth, right? And that's not something that I would say that any black person has the ability to do. I don't think that we have the amount of time that will be taken to get rich the way that he got, or Warren Buffett and the rest of those guys got rich. So while you saying again with Kim Kardashian being married, she can understand what it's like to be married, but I'm not gonna listen to her advocate for it as if like, it's still death do us part. I'm never getting divorced when, she's a habitual divorcee. Or when David Ramsey, with the bid, like with all the business he's had and some of the bad advice he's given. For example, he was a huge opponent of Bitcoin. You know how that went. So, and him being a subject matter expert, the people who listened to him and didn't buy Bitcoin when it was, $300-400, look at them now. So, I mean, just because you've done something in one arena doesn't mean you're good at it in every arena.
But I think to that point, and I get what you're saying, but I think to that point though, you still can take into consideration if they're highlighting how they became broke, right? If for example, I want to say Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap did an interview a couple years ago or whatever. I think he said he had like 21 mil in the bank, and before you know it, he was flat broke. Why? Because of X, Y, and Z. So just off the strength of him sharing X, Y, and Z, if I'm a rapper, I'm gonna take that into consideration so I don't end up like him. So I think when we dismiss information that we can actually take from someone that has went through the experience, I think that we're doing a disservice to ourselves, because even though they may have fucked up, even though they may have lost it all, even though they may have got a divorce, they can still give you some type of information as to why and how they got put in that position, where you can use that and learn from.
I have no pushback for most of that. But my thing is this: I would never in my life go to a woman and try to explain to her what it's like for her to have cramps, because I don't know. I'm not a subject matter expert on the topic. I'm not going to go to a woman and talk to her about like saying, "Hey, having a baby ain't that hard," when I could never do that. I'm never going to talk to people or take them as, saying, some sort of I'd say authority figure if they haven't done what I'm trying to do successfully. None of these people have had successful marriages. I would want to go find someone who's been married for 30, 40 years to do that. And how to get married, cool. What to do in a marriage, cool. How to make a sex tape, cool. Like I could go to her for that, or with Dave Ramsey. How to vet investments, cool. How to do how to file 1099s, great. How to file 941s, awesome. But how to become generationally wealthy, in under 20 years, I can't go to him for that because he's never done it. That's my point. I'm not saying that you can find, gems in people's failures, but I don't believe anyone should go to anyone for advice who's not doing what it is they're advising them on at a successful level.
So some of those things you said Pacific. So of course we can't go talk to a woman about cramps if we educate them about cramps because we never experienced it. That's one thing. But in general, you can't go to Dave Ramsey and talk about it. You may not like the way he's doing it, or it might not be fast enough for you to do it in the way you may want it, but it is beneficial.
I see it at that ground already. Yeah, I got that. Like he can come to me about 941s. He can give me the difference between S Corp, C Corps. I get that. But as far as what I'm trying to do, which is my task was to create generational wealth for my children before I was 60. Before I was 50. He can't help me with that. Because the way that he goes, he does the drop in the bucket method. He wants you to invest slowly, long term, over 40 to 50 years, and then be good when you're retired. That's cool for him and for the people of in his generation, the boomers. But that doesn't work for me. So that's why I'm saying that if we have the goal that I have is not something that he's done successfully before. That's my point.
I guess I just can't agree. We have to agree to disagree on that one. I understand what you're saying. But it's why are more men loyal to ideology than people? Well, if you're a religious person, you should be more loyal than to people, because them same wrong people could be the same one who's preaching a certain ideology and could be lying to you, not living what they're saying or to even speaking on. So you probably should be more loyal to an ideology than folks. I'll leave it there.
All right. Got some on it straight like that?
I just got back in, so I'm not really sure what we're talking about.
Why are
Um,
men more loyal to ideology than people? You said you just got back in.
yeah, like my phone cut off. Yeah,
There
Oh,
you go.
okay.
yeah.
He's out here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like this out here, like the man in the yellow hat for all you old folks who know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Hey man, I'm out here working like a dinosaur. You know what I'm saying? Doing what
Okay.
I gotta do.
Yeah.
This
You know what
Jurassic
I'm
Park.
saying? Doing what dinosaurs do. Um, you know what I'm saying? Being providers, protectors. But anyway, to answer your question, um, repeat it for a second, Jr. Repeat it one more time.
All right, I
I just
got to
want to make
start
sure I
at the
answer.
bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and let Z go ahead and chime in. Z, why are men more loyal to ideology than people?
So
Hold on,
I'm
hold
gonna
on,
try to use a lighter
hold on.
tone so no one feels attacked.
If one of you guys can turn down the speaker, like, yeah,
But
I
she
don't know.
said that she's done that, I think.
Okay,
Am I better now?
yeah, it's much better.
Okay, cool. So to Hink's point, I believe I agree with him. I think anybody who is really trying to fulfill their best and become them to, fulfill their destiny and unleash their full potential. I think that it's important for them to be more loyal to their ideology than people because as he said, um, people are the inconsistency. Those are who are going to be interchangeable in your life, but your path and what you feel like you're here to do with your life should be paramount. Now, to say this though, I think that there's a big disconnect between people's ideology and then their physicality. Like they're not utilizing, again, this thing that I brought up earlier, which is discernment. When you utilize your discernment within your ideology to assess people, really feel them out, understand them, and really feel the vibrations that they emit. Because everybody wants to talk about, oh, good vibes, but do you feel the vibes for real? Because if you're listening to yourself and you're really in tune with yourself, you can feel people out and you can feel who's for you and who's not. And so with that, you can feel safe to remain loyal to your ideology and steadfast in it because you know that it's that ideology that brings you the people that you need in your life. And yeah, we just need to take people as they come, assess them, and toss them and keep them as they may.
All right, go ahead, Cookie.
All right, you said why do men?
Why are men more loyal to ideology than to people?
I think that men are more loyal to ideology than people because of life in general. Uh, the way we talk, believe, do understand. We have brothers and we had a dad, so I feel like the ideology is consistency. People are inconsistent. They've had enough life to learn that people can change, flip, and do some weird stuff on you, as you know, we've seen on this panel today, versus an ideology, which is going to be a set of rules, right? So I feel like men are more loyal to ideology because they don't like the flippity flop with people. Men are consistent. They have schedules. They have a path. That's just how y'all are created. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that they're more loyal to ideology because somebody has to be, because women will befriend anybody.
Go ahead, mistaken.
I think it has a lot to do with social conditioning of men in general. So men are typically socialized to like value like principles and loyalty and honor and duty and things like that. So when you are conditioned to think like that and like prioritizing your goals and like the hierarchical thinking of systems and stuff, to me ideology falls right in that concept. So I think it is easier for them to remain loyal to that because kind of like what some of you guys were already saying, when you're dealing with people, people are inconsistent. And so sometimes trying to apply certain like rationale to behaviors that you can't necessarily explain makes more sense. That if I have an ideology is like black and white, and I think a lot of times men think black and white, so that falls right into that same alignment. So it's easier to be loyal to that idea than it is to actually be loyal to dealing with different people ways. So
I go straight like that. Why are men more loyal to ideology than to people?
All right, good question, brother. I think the reason why is because to Taken's point, it's black and white. Not saying men don't deal with gray, but I think men are very much black and white. It's either it is or it's not. Men don't play the middle game for the most part. If we're speaking in terms of relationships, so I think the reason why men deal with ideology is because a man will set himself to agree with one mind frame, and he's going to stick to that. Where if you're a woman, you can kind of bounce around. So you can kind of grab from one ideology to the next, and then you have like a gumbo. Where to Taken's point, it's very black and white. It's either I'm here or I'm there. So men are very absolute in that sense. So I think that's why men grab to ideology. It's because we're very absolute based. We're either going to be on one side or we're going to not.